Welcome back to another video. Today we have Green White Company. So I feel like this deck has been performing well every single week. In every tournament, it happens to make top 4 of pretty much every historic tournament that's happened so far. And I think that the deck is really consistent and hasn't had the opportunity to be fully discovered or pushed to its limits. So we've seen a lot of the traditional builds playing Great Henge, more lands, more utility lands, but I decided to take the deck into a different direction. I felt like the biggest weaknesses I was facing with this deck was flooding, and the Great Henge actually just not being as powerful as I would like, because it's not that hard to answer post board, as well as it has a cost to play it. So when I lowered the amount of big creatures I stopped, the big creatures that I stopped playing, I felt like it was hard to make the Great Henge work, and I wanted a card that worked better with Archon of Emeria, which basically doesn't allow you to play more than one spell a turn. And I found that Vivien was the perfect replacement for the Great Henge, because it gave you reach, which is really essential in the mirror match, as well as it allowed you to cast spells on your opponent's turns, because it gives your creatures flash. And that gives you so much utility in the sense that you can surprise your opponent at any point, as well as Elite Spellbinder in your opponent's upkeep, or an Archon of Emeria in response to your opponent casting a spell, can really throw them off balance. And so I found that Vivien was basically the 5th and 6th collected company, as well as a really sound effect in the deck to take it to the next level. To cure the flooding problem, I decided to use some of the tech that I found in the Phoenix deck. By adding Abundant Harvest, it allowed me to hit my land drops when I needed them, but also to hit relevant spells when I needed them as well. So with those changes, I felt like we took the deck kind of to the next level. For the next portion, it will be the gameplay portion. I'll talk through all of my decision points in the game. So see you there. Alright, so we have a pretty broken hand. Any hand with Llanowar Elves, a mana dork into 3 drops just feels absolutely phenomenal. And it looks like we might be playing against the Mirror. Left Stroke Beast, phenomenal draw. Yep, it is the Mirror. This is gonna be a grind. Not the worst draw. Just gonna go ahead and play the Mammoth. At this point, would we trade the Mammoth for a 3/3? I think the answer is yes. We just need to contain the field. And by playing both of these, this should work. Oh my god, this is our worst nightmare, because the Left Stroke Beast can now become a 7/7. is very difficult to block. Alright, we're down to trade. I think they should have put both on the Elite Spellbinder. Alright, we'll shock. Go ahead and play both of these. We'll make our Mammoth bigger. The Elite Spellbinder is going to be a really fast clock. But we have our Vivian to help with that. Vivian gives Vigilance and Trample to a creature. It's quite helpful. Alright, we'll put this on white. Oh. We must put the counter there. And is it worth the attack? I think the answer is yes. We're really weak to a Skyclave Apparition, but if they don't have a Skyclave Apparition, I kind of like our spot. Vivian is definitely an ace in the matchup, and hence the addition to the deck. Play another Archon. This is fantastic. This is something we can deal with. But 2 counters on our Vivian, not so good for us. 2 counters on the Archon means that our Vivian is going to die, but we should trade because their clock is going to be way too fast. Skyclave Apparition, exactly what we needed. To try and pull us back into this game. We'll actually put it on the Skyclave Apparition, so we may be able to attack and get this race started, because their Archon is going to be quick. We're actually dead next turn unless we're able to find either a flyer. Yep. I think we're dead. Alright, what our hope is that they don't attack, but I don't think there's any shot of that. We're bluffing company, essentially. Yep, no chance. Yeah, their draws were, I mean, this is the power of Luminarch Aspirant. I had cut it for a while, but the fact that every single turn any irrelevant creature becomes way more relevant is huge. So in the mirror match, it's important to bring in removal in those forms, Knight of Autumn and Containment Priest to beat the opposing companies, because usually whoever resolves more companies is going to end up winning the match. So a card that I've noticed that doesn't matter is Scavenging Ooze. Flyers are generally important. We can go down on Abundant Harvest. I generally like to go down on 1 Archon and 1 Luckstruck. Alright, let's run it. What's super cool about Containment Priest is if they Coco and you Coco in response, you can shut them down with your Containment Priest, which is absolutely broken. Llanowar Elf on turn 1 is just so broken. When your opponent doesn't have it, this gives you such a head start. Alright, so feel like we might as well get rid of their 2-drop. Make it so that they don't do anything this turn. I think it's still best to just play another Spellbinder. See what's going on. Make it so that they can't make our stuff cost more. Go ahead and attack for 3. Yeah, I'm just gonna put a counter on our Elite Spellbinder. Try to incentivize them to block. Because the block is actually just really bad for them, because it allows me to play a Lovestruck Beast. And if they're not able to double spell here, we're just gonna be able to hammer down our mana advantage, early mana advantage. Yeah, this is too free. And we drew another Spellbinder, so we don't have very much to be afraid of. Let's keep it the same. We're looking pretty good. Alright, game 3 of the mirror match. We're gonna keep this hand. We have all of the mana, we just don't have Elf on 1. Go ahead and play this tapped. We just can't end up passing up oh, mistake was made. Never forget that Archon makes something enter tapped. Your non-basic lands enter tapped, but it still gives you the ability to pay. Yep, we're just gonna play this tapped. We need to get double white out. Oh, this is such a beating. Yep, the power of Llanowar Elf is such a beating. I mean, we still have a shot to get back in this game, but taking that additional 2 points for no reason is just gonna be, it's gonna catch up to us. All right, well, yeah, I'm gonna play this tapped. Reason why I'm playing it tapped is just in case we make it to 6 mana and we need to double spell with 2 3 mana threats. So we're gonna be taking 5 here. Alright, we really needed a 1 mana threat there. We'll go ahead and eat their Skyclave. This gives us a 3/3. So we have a block, and we'll pass. Alright, this turn is kind of scary. So we're at 3. So that means this needs to be blocked. This puts us at 1, and it leaves them with 3 creatures. So if we had 2 more life, it would have been perfect. So we need to hit a Skyclave Apparition. Alright. So if we had hit a Skyclave Apparition, we could flash in. Eat the Skyclave Apparition, create a 2/2. And we would have won. Alright, if we had the 2 more life, this game would have looked a little bit differently. Mistakes were made, but make sure you don't make those mistakes in your match. Alright, welcome back from the gameplay portion. Now we're going to talk about the sideboard. So the sideboard has a lot of removal because this deck actually struggles against decks that just go bigger than you, like elves and goblins. So having removal to deal with problematic threats is super important. So Giant Killer helps you kill a lot of the Gruul creatures, helps you in the mirror match. The tap effect is super relevant, and then Deck and Stone just happens to be like one of the most perfect card against cards like Phoenixes, and any deck that plays multiples of a card. Gives you the tempo you need to close out the game quick. Graveyard synergies are super important, so Rest in Peace is essential. Like I said, we're really weak to elves, like other collected company strategies, goblins, angels. Containment Priest gives you an angle, even though it works against your collected company. But if your opponent's casting the collected company first, you can respond by shutting them down with this Containment Priest, or you can Coco in response and maybe luckily hit one of these Containment Priests. But it's also a hoser against specifically Muxus. So in my experience, this card has been perfect in this strategy. It just meshes well with your other cards as well. Next, we have Thalia, great against all the spell strategies, control decks, Phoenix strategies. Just an overall great card. Not in the main deck because you're playing Abundant Harvest, Vivian, Collected Company, and Love Struck Beast, so you don't want it unless it's hurting your opponent more than yourself. And then we have Knight of Autumn. This is a necessary evil. It helps you deal with the Great Henge, which can be problematic in the mirror. But since both players are going to be leaving in Archons, it's likely they're shutting down their own Great Henge long enough for you to find this. And yeah, and then lastly we have Shifting Ceratops, which has been good in a variety of matchups. Good in Phoenix, good against rogues, good against all the control strategies. I tried a bunch of different cards in this slot, and in the end I will have to say Shifting Ceratops did the job best, even though you can't really hit it off of Collected Company. Yeah, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you check the description because there's gonna be a full sideboard guide there. I'm gonna start off with 10 matchups, and we're gonna continue to refine it as we play this deck more on stream or maybe in the tournaments this next weekend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.